The death of the spirit, where the spirit broke and no one noticed. There is a silence that doesn't make sound. Quiet that doesn't come from peace, but from pain too deep for syllables. The kind of stillness that settles in the bones. Long after the screaming has ended, not the scream of the mouth, but the scream of the soul. The cry you swallowed because no one ever came when you wept. Because the last time you dared to howl like a hurricane, they told you to hush. To be small, to be grateful, to get over it. And so you did, or at least you acted like you did. You laughed louder, you worked harder. You wore your lipstick like armor. You stitched your wounds with "I'm fine." You walked into rooms carrying the funeral of the person you used to be. And no one noticed the casket. That's where your spirit died. Not in one tragic moment, but in 1,000 tiny assassinations. The eye rolls that made you question your worth. The betrayals wrapped in sweet voices. The day you begged God for help, and all you got was the echo of your own voice. Oh, don't pretend you don't remember. Remember exactly where it happened. The room, the hour, the temperature in the air, the smell of the walls, the shape of the shadow as your soul laid down and said, "I can't go any further," but you still did. Your body kept walking. Your mouth kept smiling. But your spirit sat down somewhere behind you and never moved again. Have you ever noticed how sometimes a person can be alive for years after they've died inside? They'll sit at the table, pass the bread, nod at the jokes, fold the laundry, pay the bills, but their eyes look like windows in a house nobody lives in. And people call it strength. They call it grace. They say, "Look how well she's doing." They don't know she buried her spirit in the back corner of a childhood bedroom, under a floorboard stained with silence. They don't know that she never really came out of that hospital room, that courtroom, that Sunday morning when the preachers words cut her deeper than the man who left her bruised. They don't know that the dinner table is a battlefield, that brushing her hair is a resurrection, that breathing is a defiant act of faith. But I came today to tell you something. To whisper what no one ever told you. You are allowed to go back. Not to relive it. Not to drown in it. But to resurrect what was buried there. To look at the place where your spirit died and say, "I see you. I remember what happened here. But I'm not afraid anymore. I have come with salt. I've come to heal what hell tried to claim." You see, healing doesn't always start in a therapist's office or a Sunday altar. Sometimes it begins when you finally admit that something inside you did die. And that's okay. God can't resurrect what you pretend never died. Grace cannot flow to the places you keep hidden in shame. You must name it. Not with bitterness, not with blame, but with truth, with courage, with holy honesty. So go back to that place in your mind, in your spirit. Stand in that memory like a prophet returning to a dry valley of bones. Speak to it. Say, "I am not afraid of this place anymore. I will not keep skipping this chapter of my story. I will not keep silencing the child inside me just to survive adult conversations. I will not live as a ghost in my own body. Because the place where your spirit died is the very place where your healing will begin. You don't have to stay there, but you must acknowledge it. That room. That word. That day you stopped singing. That hour you stopped believing in light. It is not your home, but it is your altar now. And before this journey is done, we will pour salt on that altar. We will speak life into that silence. We will make holy what the enemy thought was forgotten. So don't run from that memory anymore. You are strong enough to face it now. You are sacred enough to heal it now. And you are not alone. I am standing with you. Your grandmother's prayers are still echoing inside your bones. You are the living resurrection of what tried to bury you, and yes. You are the one who will go back to the place where the spirit died, and call it back to life. Asterisk, asterisk. The sacred power of salt. Salt is more than a mineral. It's a memory, a ministry, a miracle salt. Simple, ordinary, white as snow, fine as dust. But salt has never been ordinary. It's older than empires, wiser than kings. Salt has passed through the hands of prophets and mothers, soldiers and saints, and in every age it has whispered the same thing. Preserve what is holy, protect what is sacred, heal what has been wounded. Salt is not just a kitchen thing. Salt is a covenant. Salt is a symbol. Salt is a weapon. In the ancient world, they used salt to seal sacred agreements, to say, I will not betray this bond, to say, this is holy between us, to say, I won't let rot have the final word. And so it was with God and man. In Leviticus, he said, you shall not let the salt of the covenant of your God be lacking from your offerings. Salt was in the offering. Salt was in the sacrifice. Salt was in the bloodline of worship, because salt doesn't just season, it preserves, it protects, it purifies. It says, what is valuable will not be lost in decay. Do you see it now? Why Jesus called us the salt of the earth? Not the sugar, not the spice, but the salt. Because salt carries a responsibility. Salt gets into wounds and it burns to heal. It stings, yes. But that sting is sacred. That sting is the soul waking up, realizing I'm not infected. I'm being cleansed. Salt shows up where blood was spilled, where betrayal bled out onto the floor, where innocence was stolen and the air forgot how to breathe. Salt goes there. To the unspoken places, to the memories no one else enters, and it doesn't run. Salt doesn't flinch. It sits. It sanctifies. It says, this place may be broken, but it is not forsaken. That's why when the spirit dies, you don't just light a candle. You don't just say a prayer. You bring salt, not just for the ritual, but for the reminder. Because salt carries memory, remembers how wholeness felt before the heartbreak. It remembers who you were before you were taught to doubt yourself. Salt holds that memory for you until you're strong enough to reclaim. There's a reason healers, shamans, grandmothers, all kept bowls of salt near the door. A reason tears taste like the ocean. A reason salt is in the sweat of your labor and the sorrow of your grief. It's not just chemistry, it's covenant. God encoded healing into the earth so you wouldn't forget how to return to him, even when the church hurt you, even when religion failed you, even when your prayers felt like silence. He left the earth full of signs, and salt is one of them. That's why, beloved, when you go back to the place your spirit died, you don't go empty-handed. You go with salt in your palm and truth on your tongue. You stand in that place, be it a room, a corner, a memory, and you say, this place will no longer smell like death. This place will no longer echo with shame. I sanctify this ground. With salt, I reclaim this space for healing, for memory, for the God who never left me even in my silence. The salt is holy, and so are you. And when the two meet, heaven listens. Do not underestimate this sacred act. Do not let this simplicity fool you. The greatest miracles are often hidden in the humblest of things. A jar of oil, a shepherd's sling, a mustard seed, a handful of salt. God does not need your perfection. He needs your participation. So pick up the salt. Pick up your faith. Pick up your voice. Walk back to the wound, not to reopen it, to bless it. To say, this place will hurt no more. Salt carries authority. Salt says, the decay stops here. Salt says, rot will not reach my spirit. Salt says, this memory will no longer control me. When you lay salt on the ground where your spirit broke, you're not being dramatic. You're being divine. You're reminding the earth who you are and whose you are. Do it slowly. Do it deliberately. Do it with reverence. Because this is not just about the salt. This is about taking back sacred ground. Ground that trauma tried to claim. Ground that silence tried to steal. Ground that grief tried to own. But today, with salt in your hands, you walk back as priest, as prophet, as heir of resurrection. You walk back to where your spirit died with sacred fire in your eyes and say, not today, not anymore. I am no longer afraid of this pain. I've brought salt. I brought heaven with me. Because when salt touches broken ground, God shows up. And when God shows up, nothing stays dead for long. Return to the place of pain. The ground remembers you. Asterisk, asterisk, go back. Not to dwell, not to bleed again, but to gather what was left behind, Because pain is a thief. It doesn't just hurt you, it takes from you. It takes your laughter and leaves you with silence. It takes your trust and leaves you with suspicion. It takes your sense of safety, your sense of self, and buries it deep in the soil of some yesterday you swore you'd never visit again. But today, you return, not as a victim, not as the one still bleeding, but as a witness, as the one who lived through it and didn't lose their soul. You walk into the memory like a temple. You step through the door of your past, not to bow to it, but to bless it, to cleanse it, to claim it. Because healing is not forgetting. Healing is remembering without becoming undone. It is looking at the wound without picking the scab. It is visiting the tomb not to mourn, but to roll away the stone. Yes, go back to that room, that hallway, that silence, that empty chair, that unanswered prayer, and look around. Let your eyes adjust to the dim light. Feel what rises. Let your hands tremble, but don't turn away. Not this time, because the ground remembers you. The air still carries your ache. The walls still hold your breath. The shadows still echo the child who stood in the corner with tears, held hostage in her throat. But you are not her anymore. You've lived through the darkness and brought a lantern with you. You don't need their apology anymore. You don't need their validation. You're not coming back to make them see what they refuse to. You're coming back to make yourself whole. To say to the soil, I remember, but I'm not bitter. I'm better. To say to the space, you were my valley of death, but now you are my altar of resurrection. Let the wind move through you. Let the tears come if they must. You're not weak. You're cleansing. Your sacred water returning to sacred earth. Speak to the silence, not with shame, but with sovereignty. Say, I am here. I came back for myself. I came back for the part of me that stayed here too long. I'm taking her home. This is the divine art of healing, not erasing the past, but re-walking it with holy feet. With salt in your hands and strength in your spine, to declare with the authority of heaven, this is no longer a place of defeat. This is the birthplace of my power. Put the salt down, sanctify the wound. Now you've walked back through the pain. You've stood in the memory without breaking. You've spoken to the silence without losing your voice. And now it is time to put the salt down. Not just anywhere, but in that place, that crack in the floor, that corner in the mind, that tear in the timeline where your spirit once slipped. Put the salt down, because this is holy ground now. It's not because it was perfect, but because you came back different. You are not here to curse the memory. You are here to cleanse it. You are not here to rehearse the pain. You're here to reclaim the power. The salt in your hand is not bitterness. It is not revenge. It is not, look what you did to me. No. The salt is your yes to healing, your yes to freedom, your yes to becoming whole again. You place the salt like a prophet places oil. You drop it gently, like a prayer. You let it fall slow, like forgiveness. And as it touches the ground, you say, this pain ends with me. This cycle ends with me. This shame has no home here anymore. You are not seasoning the ground. You are sealing it. You're saying no more demons dance here. No more grief lives here. No more silence rules here. I put the salt down where the heartbreak happened, where the betrayal unfolded, where your voice was snatched, where you gave up your light to make others comfortable. And when you do, watch heaven respond, because heaven always honors a return. It always honors a soul brave enough to go back and gather the broken pieces with trembling hands and fierce love. Salt in Scripture was a covenant, a promise that says, this will not rot, this will not be forgotten, this will be preserved. So when you put the salt down, you're not just healing, you're making a vow. You're saying, I will not forget who I am. I will not abandon myself again. I will walk in sacred truth, and I will not apologize for it. Maybe, just maybe, you say one last prayer over that spot. Not a loud one, not a rehearsed one. It's just a whisper from the healed woman you are becoming to the wounded girl you once were. I've come back for you. I brought the salt. We are going home. This is how healing begins. This is how cycles break. This is how graves become gardens. This is how sacred women rise with salt in their hands and power in their footsteps. Asterisk, asterisk, rise again from that place. You are the resurrection, asterisk, asterisk, now rise. Not like the world told you to. All put together and pretending it never happened? No. Rise like the truth. Like something sacred that remembered it was never meant to die there. Like a flame that flickered but refused to go out. Rise from the place, the one that held your grief like a hostage. The one that swallowed your voice, your laughter, your innocence. Rise because you were never meant to rot in that room. You were never meant to carry the tombstone of that moment around your neck like a name. You were only ever meant to pass through, to gather wisdom, to meet yourself in the valley, to find God again in the dark, and then walk out, healed, salted, safety. You see? The salt wasn't just for the ground, it was for you. You are salt now. You carry preservation. You carry sacredness. You carry the power to keep things alive that trauma tried to bury. You've been through the fire, but you didn't burn up. You came out seasoned, tested, proven, purified. Now you walk different. Not because the pain didn't happen, but because it no longer owns you. You can tell the story without it swallowing your breath. You are no longer stuck in the scene. You are the storyteller now. You are the preacher. You are the poem. You are the prophecy fulfilled. And when people ask, how did you survive? How did you come back from that? How did you ever learn to love yourself again? You can say, I went back to the place. I took my salt. I took my courage. I took my God. And I reclaimed what was mine. So rise, beloved. Not just in body, but in spirit. Speak like someone who has tasted resurrection. Walk like someone who has held brokenness and turned it into an altar. Love like someone who no longer fears being seen. You are the proof that the spirit may die, but it can rise again. You are the voice echoing through generations, saying, I returned. I healed. I lived again. Now go with salt still in your soul and sacred fire in your footsteps and rise again from that place. Asterisk, asterisk, if this message found your wound. If it spoke to a room inside you that's been locked and silent for years, then don't let it stop here. Like this video. Share it with someone whose spirit forgot how to rise. Subscribe for more soul-speaking, spirit-healing words, and in the comments below, type these 5 words, I'm bringing salt and rising. Let the world know you're not dying in that place. You're not staying silent. You're not shrinking to fit spaces that were never built for your light. This is not the end. This is the altar of your return. Drop your testimony. Drop your prayer. Drop your healing. Let this be more than a video. Let it be a revival. And until we meet again, may every place that once held your pain now hold your power. May your wounds become wells. May your salt always remind you that you were never forgotten.